History repeats itself in the weirdest ways, strange enough to make you wonder how much we really know about reality. Is time travel more than a myth? Are some people destined to predict the future, or be the unwitting agents of prophecy? Are coincidences really clues that there's an intelligence working behind the scenes, tweaking the balance between order and chaos for its own amusement? The lives of the rich and powerful may be more fantastic than we imagine, or parts of a design we don't fully understand, even if we watch what they do from afar. Take, for instance, Donald Trump, a character so over the top he seems mythical to some, unbelievable to others. Is he a showman, a con, a champion, a hero, an evil genius, or something else altogether? Many were flabbergasted when he became president in 2016. Yet as people dug deeper to discover more about their new leader, they stumbled across something odd, a trio of century-old Gilded Age novels that seemed to provide a shattered funhouse mirror prognostication of the political scene unfolding in the 21st century. This is The Bizarre Tale of Baron Trump. Our story begins with Ingersoll Lockwood, a wealthy and well-connected New York lawyer and writer born August 2, 1841. Early in his career, in 1862, Abraham Lincoln appointed him to a diplomatic position as consul to the Kingdom of Hanover, which was an independent German state until 1866. After 4 years of service, Lockwood returned to New York City and opened a law firm with his brother. By 1884, he was enjoying a secondary career as a lecturer. He soon married Winifred Wallace Tinker, a graduate of Vassar College and aspiring author herself. And during these happy times, Lockwood began imagining the character of an aristocratic little boy who lived a privileged life in a tower on Fifth Avenue. He named this figure Baron Trump, published his first novel, Travel and Adventures of Little Baron Trump and His Wonderful Dog Bulger, in 1889, and began working on a follow-up novel, Baron Trump's Marvelous Underground Journey. Sadly, Lockwood divorced in 1892 before releasing his sequel in 1893. Adding insult to injury, Ingersoll's tales were not particularly well received. Perhaps he was saddened by these failures because his fiction took on a more adult and dystopian turn. Drawing on his knowledge of politics and the events of the world around him, Lockwood's novel 1900, or The Last President, was published in 1896. Little did he know that his novels would win him literary fame 100 years later. Lockwood died in seclusion, and his books languished in obscurity until, by some bizarre twist of fate, they re-emerged on 4chan and Reddit in 2017. Someone had stumbled upon these lost works and discovered uncanny parallels between the names, locations, and zeitgeist of Lockwood's fantastic stories, and the extreme public reaction to the recent election results and Donald Trump himself. When people think of Donald Trump in the run-up to the 2016 election, they may imagine a brash TV boss with private jets and a glitzy penthouse apartment in Trump Tower, decorated with crystal chandeliers and 24-karat gold trimmings, living out the art of the deal, hobnobbing with Russian and Chinese politicians and business magnates, supporting a large family and marrying a glamorous model. To some, he's the epitome of American success. Others find him rotten and gauche. A November 16, 2016 magazine spread in Travel and Leisure put his gaudy taste on full display. Countless interviews portray the Donald as completely confident, a little outrageous, bombastic, and a bit mean-spirited. Not so different, in fact, from the character Baron Lockwood created. Of course, the fact that these larger-than-life personalities share a surname and a German pedigree is intriguing. Both of Lockwood's novels regale readers with the escapades of the German boy called Baron Trump, born in Africa to noble parents on a safari. Though some believe that his character could be an avatar of sorts for Donald Trump's son, Barron. Perhaps these stories are not about Barron at all, but a vision of Trump's adventures as a younger man when he called himself John Barron or John Barron. Perhaps as a young boy, Donald dreamed of having adventures, of traveling the world, gaining fame and notoriety as he rubbed shoulders with the bigwigs of the day, and perhaps Lockwood foretold these events in his book. Although some believe that the second Baron Trump novel is Lockwood's most prophetic, the first bizarre coincidence is revealed in Chapter 3 of Lockwood's first novel, when he expounds upon Baron Trump's brain. As little Baron Trump brags to the reader about his immense intelligence, he goes on and on about his very big brain, which grew to an enormous size after his mother accidentally dropped him in the mud. As Baron tells it, "With rare foresight for one of my months, I had closed my nostrils with one hand before reaching the mud and had thus saved my lungs from filling up." He continues, "No, I was never myself again. My bath in the warm mud of La Chula effected a most remarkable change in me. It checked the growth of my body and turned all my strength upwards into my head and brain. In one short month, my head was almost doubled in size. My baby face and expression were gone. And ere another moon had filled her horns, I had grown to be a living wonder. Not only was the size of my head something remarkable, but from my eyes beamed an astonishing intelligence." Sound familiar? Ever the precocious toddler, Baron apparently acquired incredible business acumen as he learned the facts of life. "My father had already taught me addition by showing me how to trade off worthless glass beads for valuable ivory, and division by taking away 90 cents from every dollar I made. Before I was 2 years old, my brain had grown so heavy that my mother was obliged to sew pieces of lead into the soles of my shoes. And yet, I was often found standing upon my head working out difficult mathematical problems by making use of my toes, as the Chinese do their counting machines." As the story continues, the self-aggrandizing and bored little Baron gets his way by bulldozing anyone in his path, parents and neighbors included, on a campaign to travel abroad. Whether he's relentlessly clever or deceitful depends on your point of view. He eventually makes his father, who relents, into his servant. Baron also appropriates Chinese attire during his adventures abroad, after long and mature deliberation. Curiously, both Donald Trump and Little Baron expressed admiration for China. At a September 26, 2018 press conference in New York, still available to view online, Donald Trump boasted,
"I like China, and I like President Xi a lot. I think he's a friend of mine. He may not be a friend of mine anymore, but I think he probably respects, from what I hear, if you look at Mr. Pillsbury, the leading authority on China, he was on a good show, I won't mention the name of the show, recently, and he was saying that China has total respect for Donald Trump and for Donald Trump's very, very large brain. He said, Donald Trump, they don't know what to do."
As events unfold in Lockwood's second novel, Little Baron receives a 15th century manuscript from a Spaniard named Don Fum and decides that he must journey to visit the world within a world mentioned therein to visit its inhabitants. While plenty of people today search for life beyond our planet, in Lockwood's story, these beings are purported to live in hollow chambers deep under the Earth's crust in Russia. Of course, when young Baron Trump finds these creatures, his own brain is still top of mind. In an October 7, 2017 article titled, "Trump is the Star of These Bizarre Victorian Novels," published by Politico, Jamie Fuller wrote, "The first thing to know about Baron Trump is that he can't stop talking about his brain. While meeting with the Russian government, he talks about his glorious gray matter. As foreign women fall for him, he mentions his superior intelligence before casting them off. He once sued his tutors, alleging that they owed him money for everything he had taught them. He won." Elizabeth Austin, who reviewed Baron Trump's marvelous underground journey for E! International Relations on October 26, 2017, sees Baron Trump's adventures through Russia's underbelly as an allegory for lessons Donald Trump never learned. As Baron travels, he encounters 4 strikingly different lands: the land of transparent folk, whose bodies literally cloud up if they lie; the land of the Sodopsies, or ant people, who have no vanity; the frozen land of King Gilead, whose people are incapable of making rash, hot-headed decisions; and the land of the Rattlebrains, or happy forgetters, who hold no grudges. Yet, unlike Dante, who travels through hell and becomes enlightened on his way to paradise, Baron Trump seems to offend everyone he meets and run away at the first sign of danger before he returns to the comfortable luxury of Castle Trump, completely unaffected by the events of his trip. By the time we get to 1900, or The Last President, the links between the events surrounding Donald Trump's life and Lockwood's stories become more thematic. The opening chapter of this dystopian tale describes a violent riot that takes place in New York City when its citizens learn that a new president has been elected in a shocking upset. The election sets off a chain of events that will bring on the fall of the American Republic and includes an odd reference to a man named Pence who serves in the president's cabinet. It goes on to detail a saga of political unrest, rising inflation, conflicts between the states, and talks of national dissolution as the North, South, and West consider secession. The struggle between the wealthy capitalists and the resentful common man is evident, and the story ends in disaster when the White House dome is blown up with dynamite. The events of this book seem to echo political climate in America today, so much so that many people wonder, if Donald Trump wins the presidency, will we see the fall of democracy? Will Trump be the last president? Although the coincidences in Lockwood's novels are inexact, they are close enough that many people believe they point to the reality of time travel. In another peculiar turn of events, internet sleuths discovered that Donald Trump's uncle, John G. Trump, an electrical engineer and MIT professor, was a close friend of Nikola Tesla. In 1943, Trump received several trunks full of Tesla's life work from the FBI after Tesla's untimely death. Trump had been tasked with going through these documents to ensure that there was nothing contained therein that could threaten national security during World War II. Claiming that he had found nothing dangerous, Trump returned the information to the FBI, but some people suspect information was missing or that Trump held something back. Tesla was a visionary scientist who was rumored to have invented, among other things, a time machine and a death ray. Did the accomplished John G. Trump find Tesla's plans for a time machine and build it himself? Did he then visit his nephew Donald in the future to give him information that would help him in his dealings with Russian leader Vladimir Putin? Did Ingersoll Lockwood have some kind of fated insight into these events? As the 2024 election draws near, the internet is again abuzz with what could happen if Donald Trump is elected on Tuesday, November 5th, 2024. If he wins, will he end democracy? If he loses, will there be a peaceful transition of power? Will the American people find some relief from the political chaos of our times? No one knows for sure, but even today, people are still looking for clues to their destiny in Ingersoll Lockwood's books. No matter what happens, there's no doubt that the coincidences uncovered in 2017 are mysterious evidence that the way the world works is stranger than we know.